Hi there. So this is a demo to show you how to get started in Adobe Muse. So the first thing you want to do is you're going to create um, a new site, and you're going to use the settings, pretty much the settings that come with Muse, because the defaults are pretty good. So I'm going to leave everything alone. I'm comfortable working with one column, but if you're a writer or if you want more text areas, you can change your column to 5 or whatever number you want. The other thing I'm going to change is just, I want a high-res screen version, and that's all you have to do to get started. Now, if you're an Adobe InDesign user, which all of you are at this point, you will notice that this layout is going to be very similar structurally to working in InDesign. And down here we have the A master page. So whatever we're going to do design-wise in this site, we're going to always start with our A master. If we want our menu on every page, it's got to go on the A master. So I'm just going to make some areas up here of what the other pages are going to be in my website. This is the home page. And if you hover over these plus marks here, it's going to open another page. So my site is going to be more about art and my design company Magica. So I'm going to have a number of pages. Let me just put this in really quick. One of my areas of expertise is virtual reality. So I'm going to have a section for AR and VR. And one of the things that's kind of cool is you can change your layout. For example, if I want AR and VR to come under art, I can just move these around. So now under the art page would be AR and VR and experience. I can continue putting more sections in this. Installation art. Say broadcast work. And I'll do one more that's contact. And if you make a mistake and you don't like the way you've ordered this around, you can move that. I think I want to put broadcast earlier in this. And maybe I want to have installation experience after installation and have everything on the same level and not hierarchical, not with subpages. So if you have a lot of pages, you can just scroll over here and make all of them visible. So now I've got everything, everything on the same level. Okay, so we're good to go. Everything is the same right now, right? So now I'm going to open up the A master and I'm going to start creating my site. Now the first thing that you want to do is define the area around your page. For example, this area is called your browser fill. So what would the area around my website look like? And if I turn off the page fill, the browser fill is black. So right now my browser fill is gray. But what I want to do with my browser fill is I want to fill it with an image so that if somebody scrolls down my page, there's going to be paint splats. And I also want to make it scale to fill. And you have scale to fit. Scale to fill will scroll with your when you change the orientation of your layout. Now, the area up here is the top of the page, and it's also your guides. So the second line is your header, and that's a visual reference, and your bottom line shows you your bottom of your browser, which obviously can get bigger or smaller. This is your footer. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to place some artwork on this page, the background, and it's going to come in just like it comes in on InDesign. I'm placing it, and now I'm going to place a logo. And one thing that I find that's really helpful before you get started with building a website is to build an assets folder. And what an assets folder is all the art that you're planning to use in your website is in one location. It makes it a lot easier down the line when you start building a website. You can find everything quickly. You don't lose your assets. You don't have to relink your assets. So I have a little assets folder where everything is. So I want to show you now the plan view. Everything that I'm doing in the A master is going on all of these pages, so I don't have to do it multiple times. So I'm going to keep going on the A master, and now I'm going to add, I'm going to place my actual logo, which is my text, and Muse has the same kind of smart guides as InDesign and Photoshop, so it'll really help you lay things out. And again, I'm going to show you the plan view just to show you how smart Muse is. Everything is going on all the pages. So I'm back here, and now I want to add a little text. And working with text in Muse is pretty interesting because you want to use text that is safe for the internet. Now, what do I mean by that? Certain fonts come with every web page and will open on every web browser. And those are standard fonts, such as Arial, Comic Sans, Courier New, Geneva, Georgia, Helvetica, Lucida Sans, Palatino, Times, Trebuchet, and Verdana. These are pretty boring. So what you can do is if you want to use quick loading fonts, and you do want to use quick loading fonts, you want to use Adobe Typekit. So you come up here and you click on Add Web Fonts. So now that opens your browser, and under Web Fonts, and you've got to be logged in your SCAD account to do this, but under Web Fonts, all of these fonts will open on your browser, on any browser. So I think I'm going to get Leona or Liana. I'm going to download that. So it's just added one font. So if I come over here, it'll go to the area called Recently, Web Fonts right here. So I've got Liana, I've got Oceana Smooth. Actually, I'm going to use Oceana Smooth. I think it's pretty elegant. So my tagline is Art and Design for the Human Spirit. And again, your tools in Muse are very, very similar to your tools in Illustrator. They're also similar to your tools in, I don't know, in Photoshop, your tools in InDesign. You work pretty much the same way. So I am just extending up the size of this. I also can change the kerning or the tracking, and I can also use the smart guides to align this, and it'll tell me how close it is to the word Magica. I can also change how it's falling in this text box and so forth. So I want to say one more thing about working with the type, and that is if you were to use a different font, something on your machine. Let's go look at the fonts again. So we've got web fonts. These are fonts that will open on everybody's browser. You've got these standard fonts that are a little bit boring, and then you've got all the fonts that are on your system. And those fonts that are on your system, they will not be scalable. They will not be, they will come in, well, let me just show you one and what it looks like. Let me take something like, Garamond. Boy, these will export as an image. So what does that mean? If you have image fonts and you have all kinds of images all over your font, all over your website, these fonts do not load quickly. They come in as a JPEG. And I don't know if you can see this in my window here, but there's a little symbol that Muse will put in. It's a T, and that means your font is coming in as an image. You don't want that. It won't scale on mobile devices. It ultimately isn't going to look great. So I'm just going to undo font until I get it back to where I had it. Okay, so we've got the basic layout of the logo and the header at the top. Now the next thing I want to show you is widgets. We're going to build a menu, and this is pretty quick. So the widget library has all kinds of forms: buttons, compositions, contact me forms, menus, panels, slideshow. It has social media icons, but we'll get to that. But just for today, I just want to show you how to set up a menu. So you remember when I set up all those pages at the top that said home and about and art and experience and broadcast and so forth. Now the menu, when I put it in, is going to retain all that. So I'm going to go and I'm going to get a horizontal menu. And my horizontal menu comes in with some choices. First of all, it's going to ask me, do I want the menu visible at all times and on all pages? And I'm going to say yes. And the other thing it wants to know is, do I want all the sizes of these boxes the same, or do I want the spacing in between them the same? And I want the spacing in between them the same. So now what I want to do is I want to style my menu. And let's say I don't want anything other than the words. Anyways, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just change the color of my font so that I can see it. So notice that the font is black, and now I'm going to tap the area around the font, the box, and I'm going to say I don't want to see the box. I want no fill. So now my website just has these words just floating. And the other thing that you can do, it's kind of cool, is you can, let's test this page let's preview the page in the browser, see what this is going to look like. So we can see the area around the page because my window is open quite large. So when I scale with it, it's going to have splatters. Let me come back here and look at something. It looks like there may be a color in my browser field that I don't want. So the other thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to set up your states on your menu. For example, when my site is active, I don't want to see any gray here. So it's very important to come through and on the active state and the normal state, make them the same. Now when you roll over it, let's set the rollover color. I don't want the rollover color to be gray. I want the rollover color, maybe I'll make it purple, like my dog. Hello. And maybe I'll make the font on the rollover white. Let's see. Maybe that purple is just a little much. So let's go back. Let's just bring that down a little bit. On the fill. So bring that down. There we go. Okay. So now, when it's normal, it's black on white, and when I roll over it, it's going to be white on purple. All right, so let's look at this. Let's preview this page in the browser. See what that's looking like. So what I do to the first one, it paginates to the second one, and so forth. And I had my browser fill had a color red in the last example you saw, so I just removed that. It's just white. In any case, this is how you go about building your menu. And if you look at the rest of your website, now I've gone ahead, mine's a little further along, but I went ahead on the home page. Let's go back to this for a second. Here's our master, so it has the header, it has the logo, and it has the menu. That's all it has. And to make your changes on the menu, you would click on this little triangle. Then, when you want to start working on your home page, the actual content for it, you would paste in, this is some art that's in my asset folder for the Emmys that I've won. And then I have a little bio here. And so forth.